right, so now look at where we are. You have made it to the end of this course. Well done. So just to recap what we have looked at in this course, we have looked at how to find your niche, how to drill down and get your niche as specialized as possible. Then we looked at how to build your customer avatar and how to find your ideal client. And then after that, we looked at the offers that are available to help your client, your ideal client, your avatar with their issues and how to solve their problems, to find the right product for them to move them along in their game, well, in their aims where they want to get to. Then we have gone through optimizing your Facebook profile for business, both above the fold and then through the content as well. And then we have looked at ways of preparing yourself for traffic to come. We've set up the whole system, your funnel and your email autoresponder, and that's busy growing as it is. And then we started to generate traffic. Now, as an extra little bonus for you guys, I'm going to help you with content. Now, the reason for that is for this whole bonus offer, and the reason why I'm adding content to this whole thing is because this is the second most question that I get. The first thing is the tech setup and how difficult it's going to be and how whatever. The second thing is content and how to produce content, how to think of content, how to get content ideas. Now, there are various different ways, and I'm going to show you a couple of hacks that I've learned and that I was shown as well on how to organize your content. Now, I'm going to refer this to the computer as well a couple of times, well, for a couple of the things. And the main things are, one, to be organized. For me, with the content specifically, is to learn how to plan content. Once you know how to plan content, it makes figuring out what content you need to write a lot easier. So when I plan my content, I have a Google Sheet, Google Sheet. And I basically look at the month as an overview, and I will show you all these things physically, but I have the month as an overview and I have one main topic. Then I take that topic, I break it into 4 smaller topics, which will then be covered throughout each of the week. Now, the main aim for my content is to build up during the week, to build up towards a climax, which is my live event in my group where I do the deeper dive into the couch sessions. So my content is structured to build up towards that. Now, you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because obviously there's 7 days in a week. And this is obviously how many different posts you're going to write throughout the day. But on my 7th day, that is when my my live event is. So all my content from day 1 to day 7 builds up to the live event. So let's say for this week, I am working on content creation. Throughout the whole week, my posts will be about content creation, will be around how to create content, all those sort of things, but bearing in mind that you have your value, motivation, results, all those sort of posts that you are writing. But when you plan it and you know that my content this week is going to be about writing content and how to structure it or how to plan it, then you know that on day 3 it's going to be a motivational post. So you know that you're going to have to combine motivation and content writing. So then at least you don't have to go figure out, oh, what am I going to write about today? Because you know it's going to be about content creation and it's going to be a motivational post about it. So this is what makes the planning so easy. It's not necessarily what you're going to write. Like word for word sort of thing. It's so that you know what you should be writing next. And like I normally say, is like some days you will feel like just writing content, and some days you will get a complete blank where you can't write anything. And the days that you feel like writing content, it's always useful to know that on that day, this is the type of content that I need to produce, because you can create that content far out in advance. I mean, you can write something for the last week of the month and the first week if you want to. You don't have to follow a natural progression. You can just see in your plan, okay, this is the types of content that I need to write, X, Y, and Z. This is for my Facebook profile, this is for my group, and this is the sort of different contents that we're going to get in the different ones. So you know exactly what you need to write. So the planning part of the content is really essential, not necessarily because it helps you with the content, but because it helps you organize the content, and it makes it easier to have to think about what to write. Now, the other tip that I want to give you is the rule of three. Now, let's say you have one topic, you have content, for instance. If you need to flesh out that content, whether it be for TikTok, for YouTube, or whatever, if you need to flesh out that content a little bit, you can then decide to break it up, take the main theme and you break it up into 3 separate smaller themes. So let's say it's content, then you can break it up into writing content, planning content, and content ideas or whatever. And then you can take each of those ideas and break them into 3 further subjects. So you take a main subject, break them into 3. So now you've got 3. And then you take each of those 3 and break it into another 3 each. All of a sudden you are left with 9 content topics. 9 content topics around content. And you've taken one subject and split it into 9 different articles, if I can put it that way. So this is one way of multiplying a simple topic, basically. So you take one topic, break it into 3, and then take those separate topics and break it into 3 even smaller parts. Very similar to what we did with niches. You take one big niche, break it down, and specialize a little bit more. And that way you will be able to not understand, but know what sort of topics you can cover regarding a specific topic. So you can add that into your planner as well. I mean, you know that you're going to be writing this topic or about this topic on that day, so you can just add it in. So those are tips that I can give you on content writing. Obviously, there's a hell of a lot more that you can do. There's a lot that you can learn. But the basic structure of these posts should be, and I've mentioned it before, that it should have a hook. It should make people stop scrolling. And this is the same thing why you optimize your profiles. People become brain dead when they scroll. They maybe read if there's a heading, they'll read the heading. If there's a picture that looks interesting, they'll maybe look at the picture and then read the post. But if there's a heading, they are much more likely to stop and read the heading because it stands out. And if that heading is a hook, that you can hook people in and make them curious to read the rest of the article, then you know you've got a winning formula. Because when you have the hook, it stops them and then they start reading the content. And what you do next is you basically pose an unpopular opinion, or you say something more about your hook that entices them but still don't give them the answer, and then you just flesh out what this is all about. You have your hook, you have your little bit of longer thing about what the hook is about, then you flesh out the whole series and you explain to them what this hook is about. Right at the end you have your call to action. Now, this is not rocket science, and this is something everyone can do. But the thing is, once you know what the purpose, what the aim of your content is, you can frame it that way. And the only way that you can know what the aim and the purpose of your content is if you've planned it. And the only way how you can plan your content is if you know what your avatar's movements are like and what will move them to the next steps. So these are all important steps, and you can't really miss the one, because if you don't know who you're writing the content for, you're going to write a whole lot of content that's not going to fall on any ears. So again, this is why it's important to know your avatar is, so that you can write content for him or her specifically. That's basically just a couple of hints and tips that I can give you guys about copywriting and planning the copywriting as well. You know, this is always, and it's going to be a challenge for people, but there are things like answerthepublic.com. I can show you these things as well just now, and this will also give you a whole bunch of content ideas that you can then break up into different parts and use in different ways, etc., etc. So for the last time, I'm going to take you guys to the computer and we will walk through how to do some copywriting, what is the purpose of it, where you find content ideas, and then also how to make things look pretty. This is something else I actually want to say. When you write an article, because people are fairly brain dead and brain numb, you need to make it easy to read as well, and a pleasure to read. And at first, when I started with emojis in my posts, I didn't quite understand it and I didn't quite like it as well. But the more I start consuming content, especially long form content on Facebook, without them, the more I realize that I actually become fatigued reading, and that it becomes a bit of an issue to finish these long posts if there's not a little bit of entertainment in between. And emoji is a really good way of breaking the monotony of text. Your mind works in pictures, not in text. So if you satisfy the reader's mind every now and again by putting a little emoji to give context to the text, like let's say for instance it's a funny sentence that you've just written, you put a smiley face or a laughing face, rolling on the fucking floor face, whatever, at the end of that sentence, the people are going to realize this is a funny sentence. Not everyone's sense of humor is the same, so sometimes they won't get the joke or they wouldn't know that you are making a joke. But if you put that emoji there, they will immediately know, okay, this is a joke. It's also a good way of making it or putting attention on certain things, like pointing or putting flames on either side, or to exclamate certain things that you would like to be exclamated, to have like these bullet points in different ways. And you know, this keeps the reader engaged. And especially with long form posts, it does become boring if it's just text. So always try and keep that in mind when you write for someone on Facebook, is that you will need to not entertain them, but keep their attention. So not just through your content, but just making it easy to read as well. Someone like myself, I read so many posts on Facebook, and you know, at some point it becomes a bit tedious if it's not entertaining or not easy on my eyes, if my brain can't fill in the gaps quickly just by looking at certain things. And you have to bear that in mind, that the people scrolling through Facebook isn't normally in their highest mental faculties at that given time. So you need to make it as easy as possible for them to consume your content. So that's the last little tip that I wanted to swing in there. But yes, let's go to the computer and then I can walk you through the steps and show you a couple of things there as well. Cool, I'll see you there.